Okay, so I wanted to bring on some of our members of the Fully Booked Business Club so that you get to hear a little bit about their journeys, how they got started, where they're from, their niche, what they are working on now, and also talk about where they were struggling before they enrolled in Fully Booked and some of their favorite parts of Fully Booked. Okay, nope, I don't know what is happening here. I don't know who that is. Um, I don't know. Okay. This is so fun today.
Mm.
What is happening? All right. Okay, we're gonna do that. Hopefully, we didn't. Hopefully, whoever came on screen, we didn't kick you out, but I don't know how you ended up on our panelist screen. I don't know what's happening. Okay, so anyway, any whoosy who. I think, I think today there was something, if you all remember when we had like the astrologer who did the astrology for the year. So this week, I thought it was starting tomorrow, Thursday. It literally says bumpy. So we already in the bumpy. So here we go. All right, so we're going to try this again. So I'm just going to open it up. And instead of going around, first, let's go around the room and have everyone just share their name, where they're from, and their niche that they're currently working with. So, who wants to go first? Just raise your hand.
Okay.
Go ahead, Cheryl.
My name is Cheryl Dangerfield. I live near Kansas City, Missouri, and I do downsizing and decluttering for seniors.
Awesome. All right, Karen, you want to go next?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. My name's Karen Irish. I live outside of Tucson, Arizona, so it's very early for me this morning, and I have had a little coffee. But I live in an area where the average age is right around 74, and so I do tech for seniors. So I do smartphones, smart TVs, all the tablets, computers, and help people with their technology particularly, and I'll just add this little bit, since so much is going in the technical realm, a lot of people have problems with setting up their medical portals.
Mhm.
So I am licensed and insured because I am in people's homes and I'm dealing with passwords and privacy kinds of things. So that's just a little thumbnail sketch. And
Yes,
thanks to Kelly.
awesome. All right, and Michelle.
My name's Michelle Castellero, and I am from New York. I live on Long Island. And my niche is empty nesters and helping them with home services such as errands, organization, decluttering, house sitting, those types of things.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, and I'm curious, real quick, if you can, like, what did you like when I started my business? I left healthcare. I had been a registered nurse for 14 years. I had worked in healthcare for 21 years. I had worked in dietary from dietary. I thought I wanted to be a lab tech when I grew up. I realized being in a room with no windows in a cold room wearing an ugly white jacket all day was not going to work for this personality. And somebody was like, "Why don't you be a nurse?" And I was like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" Like everybody in my family, all the women were either they worked in factories or they were waitresses. So the idea of me, one, going to college, I was first generation to go to college, and then to be a nurse. So I wasn't sure if I had the stomach for it. So I became a nurse's aide. I did have the stomach for it. I loved everything about it. It was so fun. And then became a nurse and then did that for 14 years. And then just kept having this calling to do something else outside the realm of the institution. And that's how I got started in nursing, or how I got started in my business. I decided that I wanted to just literally help people with shit. That was literally my business plan. I'm going to help people do some shit. And I was really good at it. And that's how I started my business. So you don't have to give like the back in the day kind of version that I gave, but what did you do before that and that might have kind of informed um, how you ended up in the niche that you're in? I'm super curious. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Mhm.
So my my background is in sports management, and so I worked for the U.S. Olympic Committee for a number of years, and I did government relations. So most of my professional career was in Washington, D.C., so I worked on the Hill, but my age group just is about when technology first started coming into play. So I started off with a BlackBerry. I started off with, the little cell phones that actually had a keyboard. And then we graduated. And so just being in the workforce at the time that technology became an everyday thing, it was just part of the process for me. And so it was, the sports stuff aside, it was just being in the office. It was just being in an office and working with technology. And it's so much a part of me and my background that it was just an easy thing. And so for me, and I always think I I was the person that tried to fix the photocopier in the office because I was fairly certain that all of the companies, the user experience, they were trying to dumb it down. And I thought, this machine is not going to be smarter than I am. I'm going to figure this out. So it just is sort of my part of my personality that got me to this point. And when I saw how I got here was I was in between jobs. I was planning to go back to Washington, D.C. And my parents both got COVID over the 2024 holiday season. My dad ended up in the hospital. He ended up passing away in February of that year. And I'm an only kid, and I saw what my mom struggled with in terms of technology. And I thought, she's not the only one here. And so it just sort of bloomed and blossomed from there.
That's awesome. I love that story.
Thank
And
you.
I didn't know about I didn't know about the whole Capitol Hill thing. That's crazy. That's crazy. And and it's funny that like you said that something, and there were two things that popped into my brain as you were speaking. One of them was I had to reset. We had to get new Wi-Fi. We got a new router, Wi-Fi at the beach house, yada yada. Had to reset, had to redo everything, right? Because now it's got a different Wi-Fi, and
Right.
that was a thing, man. And I had to
That'll
reset
give you
my.
Groundhog Day.
Oh my God, I had to reset my printer. And while I was resetting my printer, I had to put the new password and everything in. And the only way that I could, like, it reminded me of the old T9 texting. So I had to, like, if I wanted C, I had to go A, B, C, and then to the next one, and then A, B, C, and then go to the next one. And then I did it like three times wrong. I was ready to throw the shit out the window. No joke.
Exactly.
No joke. And then last night, when I was texting my youngest son, who is a sophomore in college, he told me that he's adding a second minor to his degree and it's going to be in the user experience. And I was like, dude, oh my God, I love that for you. So fun. All right, Michelle.
Okay, well, I've been actually home for the last 21 plus years with my children, as you know, and educating them at home. But before that, my previous life, I was in retail. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And my niche in retail was merchandiser. So I organized everything and I worked for CVS for a long time, and they would put me in store to store to I was in a new store all the time. I was fixing things. I was the fixer. I cleaned up the back room. I ran the inventories. I opened stores. I closed stores. I moved stores. I came in for the holidays to help fix stores. So that's what I did. So it was just natural for me to take all of that knowledge and move it to organization and decluttering. It was just a natural, easy move.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
20 years being a homemaker. And when I left nursing and I felt when I left, because I never didn't work outside the home. I was a single mom in the beginning for 11 and a half years. Um, and so I never not worked outside the home. So when I was taking like I left my job to start the business, and there was like this little period in between there, and I felt like I didn't know what to do and I had no purpose and all these things. We used to joke, my husband and I, we came up with the name that was more representative of quote unquote stay at home mom. And I forget
Mm.
what it was, but it was something like uh the something of operations of the physical plant. And I'm like, yes, that is what I do. Okay. It was like the corporate lead of the, of the operational functioning of the physical plant. So, I mean, there's a lot of skills there. In
Mm,
fact, almost not every one of my team members, but many of my team members had been quote unquote like stay-at-home moms, homemakers, homeschooled, that turned into amazing team members because they were like batteries included, right? They can figure it all out. If you can run a household with kids, like you can figure anything out, especially when you're managing household stuff. So,
Yeah, yeah, especially homeschooling. I'm in my 14th and final year of educating my children at home. My son will graduate this year, and having that and managing the house because I'm the one that takes care of the bills, the schedules, everything. I manage the whole house from top to bottom, so that obviously easily, it was easy to incorporate those skills into my business as well.
yeah.
Mhm.
All right, Cheryl, how about you?
Okay, so I wanted to be a nurse at one point. I was a CNA for a while, and life got in the way, and I ended up not becoming a nurse. But I also was a stay-at-home mom for a really long time. And when my youngest started school, I went to work with a doctor and his wife as their personal assistant at home. And I did everything. I did all the inside stuff, outside stuff. I took their dog to the vet. I took their cars to the shop. I mean, watched their house while they went on vacation. I did all of it. So I did that for about 6 years, and people started referring me to other people that everybody wanted to Cheryl. So I decided to turn it into a business, and so my business has sort of evolved from what it was when I started 2 years ago. But and then that's where I am now for the downsizing and decluttering.
Yeah, I was just going to say you pivoted and changed some as since you've been around inside the
For
program,
sure.
you're really
Yeah.
focused in versus
Yeah.
like doing everything and being a Cheryl for everybody, the
Definitely.
downside. And it's interesting too to see how, and I hear it in all of you because I mean there are so many skill sets that I learned in nursing and other just ways that I evolved even within the nursing realm in the hospital I worked at that we could sit here and like have, mocktails and cocktails over hours and I could explain it to you. But you had said you wanted to be a nurse, and so it was probably that inner compassion piece that then translated you. It's almost like you didn't get to use it then,
Yeah.
but the universe was like, we want to make sure you still get to use it. And now you're using it with seniors just in a different way than you would have, in nursing. And so I
Right.
love, I love that. Okay. So and tell me who wants to go first. What were you struggling with before you joined Fully Booked? And what has changed since? Because I
I'll
know
go
a lot of
first.
people, kind of come in and, some are struggling with one specific thing. Some people are struggling with even like where to actually begin, getting out of the overwhelm. So go ahead, Cheryl. I think you raised your hand.
Mine was focus because you and I have talked before. When someone told me in the beginning, when they knew that what I wanted to do, they're like, "You're going to be so busy. You're going to have so many clients." And so I thought when I started that the clients would come. And so, I told you before too that that first year, I think I had, I don't know, 5 to 7 different versions of my business card because that was the thing that was going to get me all the clients.
Mm.
And I spent a lot of time getting ready to get ready. And so when I found Fully Booked, then that sort of honed me in and allowed me to focus on what was important, made me get out of my comfort zone, do some networking, and taught me kind of how to do that and stuff like that. So it was definitely the focus that was the first thing.
Yeah. So I'm curious, you said that was the thing I thought was going to get me the business. Was it physically the business card or was it like the stuff you were putting on the business card? And the reason why I ask this is some people think, it's the business card, it's the flyer, or even last week we ran a workshop about not needing to have a website in the beginning. So was it that you thought was going to get the clients, or what I've also seen a lot of people do is, let's say you're going to be so busy, which is what happened to me. I would go networking and telling people, and they're like, "Oh my God, you must be so busy." And just be like,
Mhm. Same.
And on the inside, I was literally beating the shit out of myself, being like, "Why ain't I getting no clients? Everybody thinks I'm busy, but I'm really not.
Mhm.
Everybody loves me, but doesn't want to hire me." And that's like literally the story that I would be telling myself over and over
Mhm.
again in my head. And it was also, there was a part-time part, understanding marketing too. But what I've seen is people who do that and they start and then they're like, "Oh, this niche, there's not enough of these people in my community, so I'm going to shift to this. Oh, these people can't afford it, so I'm going to shift to this."
Mhm.
And they move around a lot because they think changing just the niche without changing anything else will be like the thing.
Right. So to answer your question about why I thought the business card was going to be the thing, I thought somebody was going to look at that business card and be like, in the beginning I had senior concierge, which not everybody even knows what that is, but I thought they were going to be like, "Oh, that's awesome, and we need to hire that." And I've told you my story about going to Costco. Should I share that story?
Sure, sure.
So I thought that I made myself, this was before Fully Booked, I made myself my networking plan that day was to go to Costco and I was going to pass out 50 business cards. I made myself a goal of 50 business cards. I walked up to the first senior couple and I think I scared them to death. They scared me to death. His reaction was like he stepped in front of his wife, like, "Why are you talking to us?" And I left as really fast before the police got called on me. And I didn't pass out any more cards. So scared me to death. But I just thought that was going to be the thing, that they were going to look at that card and they were going to be like, "Yes, I love you already and I'm going to hire you."
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Isn't that the greatest story? And so yesterday, my husband, he's in the market to get a new car. He's been in the market to get a new car for probably 2.5 years now. But this is how my husband makes decisions. It takes him many, many thinkings of it. And so I'm like, just go to the place, touch and feel. You have to touch and feel, and that'll give you like your next, do I really want to, blah, 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 blah. So he goes and he comes home and he's like, "Yeah, so the guy was, he's like, I don't know if it was like this when you were buying your car, but at Audi, he was like, oh, well, yeah, this is the kind of interior you're going to get and blah, blah, blah." And then he's like, and he's like, first of all, he gave me a business card. Second of all, he gave me two. What did he give me two for? And I said, "Oh, because in the books that tell you how to network and pass out your business cards, they always tell you give two so somebody can pass one along for you." And he was like, "Yeah, I told him, I don't know if you realize this, but you gave me an extra one."
Ouch.
I was like, right? We don't give out business cards to people who don't want their business cards. And I was like, yeah. And then in the networking world or in the business world, when you meet somebody for the first time and they're like, "Here, take my folder with all my contact information and everything in it. Here, you need to have this. Oh, wait a minute, hold on." Boop, 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 boop. And they give you five of them. And I'm like, "Thanks." Come home, where's it go? Foop, right in the
Trash. Yeah.
recycling can. Anyway. Okay. So because we got into all the conversations there. One thing in your business today that wouldn't have happened without Fully Booked. So Cheryl already answered. I'm sorry. No, what were you struggling with before you joined Fully Book and what has changed that since? So back to you, Cheryl. So what you were struggling with was focus and so forth. And so what would you say has changed since? More focused?
Yeah, I have direction, and I was able to shift to what I really love to do instead of having this whole big broad do everything for everybody and um, sell my soul basically to get a job, and you know what I mean? And I don't do that anymore. I don't have to.
Yes, yes, I love that. And in the beginning, we all think that, right? I've told the story a bajillion times about the guy who hired me to do the Excel spreadsheets. I didn't even know what Excel was. I was like, of course I can do that. Out of like 18 like different CRMs, my eyes were crossing. This was before I wore needed peepers too, and I was just like 3 hours into it because every I asked my girlfriend who was very Excel proficient. She was like, even she's like, this is going to take forever. And I was like, I'm sorry. I literally mid job was like, I can't do this. I'm so sorry. I was like, I'm going to give you all your money back. And he was like, no, no, no. He was like, keep the money. I respect that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm willing to do basically anything. So do you want to go next, Karen?
Sure. So I too sort of struggled with focus. And I will, just as sort of an echo of what you said about not needing a website. I've been in business for a year and a half, and mine just went live 2 weeks ago. So what I did was I got out ahead of myself, and I put a QR code and so I'd bought my domain name, and I put a QR code and my domain on my all my business cards, but it went nowhere. And so I knew it was going to have to wait. And so for all of you who are out there thinking about it or have your domain, it's okay to wait. It's okay to wait. If you are with more tech savvy people, if you're working with like high powered executives or, moms at work, that it may be something that you want to accelerate, but you don't have to right away. So I just really want to echo that. Um, so the things, I struggled with focus on what to do when and how to sort of. I used to think I was really good at time management, but when you wear a bunch of different hats, you really do have to work with your calendar. I like to work with colors. I like to work with colored pens. And so all of my calendar items are kind of color coded. And, I just use green for money. That's the money making, color. And I have to say, and I have to give huge kudos to Kelly and the Fully Booked business. Um, Kelly has a philosophy of life that totally resonates with me, and I hope it does for you too. It's it's very she minimizes the lack thinking and she maximizes the prosperity. And prosperity is not just money, it's about clients and enjoying what you do and finding your niche that is in alignment with who you are. And so it is about not, like, Cheryl said, not doing 1,000 things because you think that's how you're going to get clients. It's really finding out who you are, what you love to do, and doing that. It's so much more rewarding when you get that kind of focus as well. So that is what Fully Booked Business has given to me, is that grounding, as well as that. I'm not totally laser focused either, but it's much more focused and much more aligned with what people need and what I want to do and what's rewarding for me.
Yes, beautifully, beautifully said. And thank you so much for that. Yeah, and inside I talk there's a module, I forget where it's at, and it might be in the Cheryl or Michelle probably knows because she's got the hub like on like I like file foldered in her brain. But there's a training in there about I think it might be in the 30-day marketing plan where it's color coded. It's like the calendar and we color code it and certain days are for certain activities and green is for money as one of the colors. Yeah, yellow for me is family. And so I've used that since probably very early-ish on when I started my business, I didn't know what Word was. I didn't even know what Word was. I didn't have an online calendar. I I had a paper calendar. I still today use a combo of online and paper just because I'm a paper person and I like to write things because when I write things, they help scribe them in my brain so then I remember them better. A pure Gen X here, like half and half. Give me both.
Yeah.
Um, but even like an online calendar. And so when I started to have an online calendar, everything was just like, ugh, it all looks the same. It's ugly and unorganized. And so I like neat things, I like pretty things, and I like things to be organized. Never my desk, though. My desk is always a hot mess. Um, so I created color coding, like day coding and color coding, which help me stay focused because when you have a job, you only have one thing you have to do. You go to your job and you do the job that you were hired to do. When you are a business owner, you're not just doing the job. That's the thing that we all start the business to do the job, the thing, the organizing, the downsizing, the household management, the tech services, the helping the seniors. Like you want to do the thing, but in order to do the thing, and we think we start a business and we're going to open our doors, and all of a sudden we're going to spend all of our time doing the thing. And the reality is that we need time. We have to have we have other roles to play. Like as a nurse, I was the nurse, I was the phlebotomy person. I took out the trash because that ain't my job. I mean, has anybody else ever been in a job like that? That ain't my job. Okay, well, the trash is literally overflowing on the floor and somebody's going to trip on it. So I'll pull the trash. And I was the I had to help escort get patients on and off of stretchers and wheelchairs and I was running trays and all the everything that you can think of, right? But that was still the job. Whereas as a business owner, you need time carved out that's lead generation, right? Like I don't typically use the term lead gen, but that's what it is. It's finding people, it's marketing. Marketing is lead generations. However, you're marketing, we have to have time for marketing, which is front facing work. We have time for like admin slash behind the scenes marketing work. And then there's the physical doing of the work. And then you have admin stuff where there's communication, there's connecting with, back and forth, there's emailing, clients or family members, there's sales conversations, and then there's billing. So when I was doing all that, I was finding myself wasting a lot of time jumping from one part of my brain to the next. Like right now I'm a concierge. Now I'm a marketer. Now I'm networking. Let me send that bill. Now I'm a mom. Oh, now I'm a concierge again, right? And it was so exhausting. And I'm like, I can't do this. So I started to streamline the way I did things. So certain days were only for marketing. I never, like, it was no clients were on those days. So it was all marketing. It was a combination of front end marketing and behind the scenes marketing. And then Fridays are financial Fridays. A lot of people come in the community and they don't like to do money on Fridays. So I have some who've changed it to money Mondays. Like it's still like the system is there and then you adopt it to what works best for you. And like Karen said, like that's something that I find really valuable and important. And I can't say it better than Karen said it about honing in and helping you build and create what is in alignment for you personally. I can't tell you what that is. I can give you a variety of options, and then like, we don't get answers from things that we're not doing. Like, you got to do it. Like with my husband, it's going to take him at least another 18 months to figure out if he wants a new car or not. At least. But I know that about him. So now I'm like, okay, so you touched and feeled here, but you didn't like the vibe at that dealership. So now let's just go touch and feel at another dealership. And then let's go touch and feel other cars. But like he won't know what he wants until he gets there versus just sitting, behind his computer, so to speak, trying to figure out what he wants. That's why we have to get out there. So, all right, Michelle, how about you? What were you struggling with and what has changed?
Okay, a lot of mine was quick business tip. Please do not go to a networking event and just drop your business cards down in front of everybody
I know
sitting at a
it's
table because they'll go in the trash.
they
I
go right in the
assure you.
trash.
Don't do that. So, anyways, um, mine was like I was out there as a senior concierge, just like Cheryl, offering those services, but finding out very quickly that some of them I just did not like. But I had already told people this is what I did. So could I change those services? I really, was thinking I can't. I'm stuck. I'm stuck doing things I did not want to do. But then you realign that for us and let us know it was okay to change. It was okay to also try new things to see if you like those, and let go of the ones that you didn't like. And it really was keeping me stuck in that because I quickly found out as much as I love the older people, I can't sit there and visit with them. I cannot sit still. I'm not a sit still person. So that really, really was one that I was really struggling with. But I've learned that it's okay to let those things go and add on the things that you really love. So now I'm in a situation where everything that on my services list, I can look at it. I love everything I do now, and it makes everything so much easier. So I'm not struggling with telling stories or telling people what I do because once you're in alignment with what you really want to do, not what everybody else wants you to do,
Yes.
everything else is so much easier. You're going to still screw up, but that's okay because at least now you know you're on the right path.
Yes, and there's something that so as somebody who has had to sell services for 15 years now, even selling coaching services, something I didn't know until, several years into my business is that and I see it more, I can see it easier coaching other people than I could see it in myself originally. And that is that there is a secret underlining aura and energy that happens when you are trying to sell something that you actually don't want to be doing.
Mm.
It's like when you're like, right? So you're like, oh, I help seniors. Yes, I offer non-medical companion and non-medical, help at home, yada yada. And you go out there and you start talking about it, but in here, like somewhere in here, it's kind of like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't really like doing that. But on the outside, you're like, I love it. Yay. But deep down inside, you're like, I don't want to do that. But you don't want to like, it's one, like first you won't admit that to anybody else. Like, yeah, no, that's not something I do. And then there's like that next layer, which is admitting it to yourself because something,
Mm-hmm.
outside influences tell you that you have to
Mm-hmm.
or should. And so then you feel
Mm-hmm.
wrong for not wanting to do something. And I give you permission to not do the shit you don't want to do
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to take you 80 times harder to sell something that you are not behind, right? It's the same thing. Like, I want you all to think about it this way. I want you to think about a restaurant that you love. Okay. So for me, we have a restaurant locally. It's more of a breakfast, brunch, lunchy spot. They do dinner in the evening, but love this restaurant. So if anybody's like, where should we go? I'm like, hands down, you gotta go to Charcoal. Go to Charcoal, blah blah blah. everything that you get is amazing, blah, blah, blah. It overlooks the river. The food is so good, blah, blah, blah. You have to go there, right? Because that's when you're passionate about something, when you're passionate about your services, you're going to be like, look, you have to go here. You have to buy this. You have to eat this. You have to. The other day I posted on my Facebook about a book that I just finished reading that I'm like, you've got to read this book. It is an incredible book versus a restaurant where the food's like meh, right? You're not gonna passionately sell somebody on going to, Joe's down the road. Like we have a little place, it's rinky dink, it's serviceable. I would not recommend people go there, right? So if you're not fired up about what it is that you're doing, it bleeds across your marketing
Mm-hmm.
in a non-verbal way. So, for example, Cheryl, when she started her business and she was trying to be a Cheryl for everybody, everybody needed a Cheryl. There was probably something in her that was kind of like, I don't, something feels off. I don't, And then she started doing stuff that she liked, and then it was like, boom. And I even remember there was a period of time, like several months in when you started to do like the downsizing and organizing, and I can feel the switch happening in a lot of you. You were like senior concierge, and then it was like the downsizing and organizing, and then somehow the senior concierge stuff started to try to sneak back in again, right? And then I was like, oh, I see it happening. And I'm like, all right, we're just going to see how this shakes out. And like within 2 months, like that was back off again. And it was like, nope, we're going right all into here, right? So that it happens.
Kelly, can I jump in for just half a second
Yeah.
to echo you and Michelle? One of the things that working with seniors, a lot of times you get told sort of you need to be, you should be like more storytelling, more visiting. My business is really transactional, and it took me a long time to admit that to myself. Like I really do, I love helping people, and I yes, I can come back to them if they need, and so I do have some repeat customers. But what I like to do is I like to help them, and then I like to teach them what they want to know so they're more self sufficient. They feel like they have agency over their technological lives. And that means sometimes that I don't ever see them again. And I had to get okay with that A, that's my business. And B, it's okay to work with seniors in that way. They're okay with that too.
Yes.
So it is, you just sort of, and Michelle said, you're going to screw up. Well, yeah, but also it's going to evolve. It's just, you're going to
Oh,
find
is that me or is
the
that Karen?
things, but you don't know that until you're in it.
Right.
Oh, it might be me.
Yeah, I think we're
So anyway,
fan.
I just wanted to really echo and dovetail off of that.
Yeah, thank
Kelly,
you.
you were saying that how, you have to do the things that you want to do, but you also have to be genuine. You have to be yourself. In the beginning, when I was networking, when I was all the things that I was doing the things that everybody said you should do. The networking, the hey, I'm, the fake thing, and that just wasn't me. And I left many of those things just feeling nauseous. But now I show up as myself on social media, on my personal page, on my business page, with my clients, and I am me, and they hire me. They're not going to get some surprise when I get there because they know who I am. And so I think that's important. I've talked to many people who want to start a business and this sort of thing, or in other things, and they're like, well, so and so knows more than I do, or I'm not as far as they are, or whatever. You just have to meet yourself where you're at and go from there and be genuine. If you truly are passionate about what you're doing and know who you are, it's gonna grow. Your right clients are gonna come to you based off of who you are. So you don't go in there and they get some surprise person that they didn't expect.
Yes. Yes. I talk about that a lot. And you've all probably heard me say in a video or on email how when I when I first started my business and everybody was like, you go networking, and I didn't know what that meant. And so I like shook out a skirt that I had and something else. And not that I'm opposed to skirts. I like skirts sometimes. But I went and then I saw how everybody was dressed, and then I was like, oh, I don't have clothes like that. And I went out and I spent hundreds, if not almost $1,000 on slacks, dress pants, button down shirts, short sleeve, probably a long sleeve or two, skirts, like cute pencil skirts, the heels, and I was going out as business professional. And the handshake. And I do believe in a good handshake. I
True, but a
definitely,
genuine one, not a.
yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely believe in a good, firm handshake. But then when I was doing that, I felt like those clothes were literally covering up me. And so it was like I was hiding my personality. I was mousier and quieter. And I am introverted, believe it or not. When I walk into a room of strangers, I want to hide in the corner. So I have to connect with one person that then when that one person will allow the real Kelly to bubble up because then I feel quote unquote safe in this new space, right? And then I can be all of Kelly starts to come out naturally because then I feel more again just safe through a visibility perspective. But when I started to show up, and one day I was like, I'm gonna show up tonight in jeans and like not a halter top, but like a blouse that kind of went up and crisscrossy, so it's like backless and you know, you don't wear that shit to business meetings. And I showed up in that. And because I was wearing clothes that made me feel like me came out a lot easier. And
Mhm.
then I was the person that people, as soon as I would walk into a room, people would flock to me because of my aura. Not just because they wanted to give me business or because, they wanted to hire me,
Right.
but my aura, my energy. People want to be in my energy, in my space of my positivity, of my love, of my passion. And that's what you've got to be you. Take off all of the bullcrap layers, whether it is a physical layer like a suit jacket. And some people, they love that shit. They're like, give me a pencil skirt and a button down blouse, and I am in it to win it. It's like you figure out what your power clothing is. And then, of course, then what happened? I go networking and I'm not shaking hands. I'm freaking hugging. I'm like, come in. I'll be like, oh, I'm a hugger. Can I hug you? And they'll be like, sure. Because that's who I am. Like, I am a hugger. And then the more I just became more, not became, because I was already that person, but the more I allowed all of this to come out, is what attracted people to me. And that's when the referrals started coming. And now, of course, it's not just aura. There is marketing too, right? There is learning how to market, talk about your business in a way that draws people in, not leaving cards behind. I even go to like conferences and stuff where there'll be like 150 coaches in a room, and during one of the breaks, at least three people are walking around that conference room that right of 150 people leaving behind all their little leave behinds. I didn't ask for that shit, girl. Just you can hold it. I don't need it. I'm not interested. Right? And that's what it's like when we're trying to sell or persuade people that they need our services. So next question I want to ask is what is one tool or training or conversation inside Fully Booked that's been a game changer for you? A tool, a training, a conversation. Go ahead, Michelle.
I just got to say, I love, and I always say it all the time, my marketing calendar. I love it. I fill it out religiously. I spent 2 hours the other day. I have it all filled out to the beginning of next year, where I'm going, what I'm doing, what networking events I'm going to. It's all laid out, social media posts, and then I mark down in it connections I've made during the week, that kind of stuff too. So I can keep track of everything right there on that little 30-day calendar.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's one of my faves too. It's literally what got me to 50K.
I love it. Love
Yeah.
it.
Because again, I was like hodgepodging and I was like, I don't like this. Like, I don't know what I'm doing every day kind of thing. And it
Mm.
took me like 2 years to figure it out. Because I was like many of you, like spaghetti at the wall. Oh, I should have my name in this welcome wagon. Yes, I will do that. Oh, I have to have my names on pens. Yes, let me do
Mm.
that. Oh, I have to have
Mm-mm.
rack cards. Yes, let me do that. If I open my cabinet here, I still have thousands of rec cards. Thousands
Mm.
of rec cards.
I have my little business card, and that's it. That's all I have. A list of my services, and then my one pager, my price sheet.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's all I have.
yeah. And which is part of inside Fully Booked. There's a module. It's all on pricing and it's broken down
Mm.
hourly packages. We touch on memberships. There's day rates, half day rates, working with seniors, billing, everything that you need to know about
Yeah.
billing.
Yep.
And in there
Everything.
is the pricing one sheet. And we do that as a
Hmm.
group once a quarter as well. We go through the pricing one sheet.
Yep. Love that. Really clarifies things for you.
Yeah.
That sheet does.
Thank you so much. All right. Who else has one they can share?
For me, I mean, there are a lot of things, but for me, what was helpful in the beginning was the contracts. I had no idea where to even get started with that, what to do, and you teach us about insurance and all of that stuff, but the contracts was huge because there's no way I would have known anything about that or anywhere to start. And I bought the contract package and saved me a ton of time.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people love the contract bundle because it's not just because, of course, we're in a day and age now where you can like Google practically anything, right? But there are a lot of nuances to it and that are built into the contract bundle that I offer, which also has all the business policies, which is both for your clients, but it's also internal for you so that you are keeping and I look at it's so funny. I saw on I think it was on Instagram a reel or something the other day. I was like shouting at this woman. I was like, "Girl, preach it!" And she was talking about the difference between what did she say? Difference between something and boundaries. And she was talking about boundaries the way I talk about boundaries. And for me, boundaries is not about, boundaries aren't for other people. Boundaries are actually for yourself. Like you have your own boundaries, but then if people don't know about those boundaries, that's on you, right? So learning how, and that all comes in through your policies inside when you're sending business policies to clients that you're onboarding. And for anyone who joins Fully Booked and you do the pay in full, you actually get the whole contract bundle for free, which if it's possible, a lot of people choose that option. How about you, Karen?
Yes, that's what I did. And even though my business is really transactional, what I found helpful in that bundle was the confidentiality agreement. And so I just, I put my own logo on it. I put my contact information on it. But again, just to echo what you said, Kelly, it's about your aura. And that gave me a whole lot of confidence, even though I don't, I've just started using it. It's just like, it's a good backstop. It just, again, it makes me feel confident that I have that. And that comes out when I'm talking with people, even though we're not talking about the confidentiality agreement. We're
Mhm.
talking about, whatever services and things like that. But knowing that that's in my back pocket, it allows me to step out more fully.
Mhm.
And so and if I might, I just want to address Connie, who wrote into the chat box.
Mhm.
Connie, I'm going to talk to you directly. And anybody else who uses this language, Connie says, I am pretending to work. Now, I don't know whether, Connie, you're pretending to work because you're a legal secretary full time and you're on this webinar, but don't use pretending. You are not pretending. If you are working with seniors, companion, general services on the weekends, you're working. You're in this. So I really suggest don't even like put that out there that you're pretending. You're in this. You're figuring it out. If you want it as a side hustle, great. If you want to move into full time, okay. There are steps. None of those are pretend steps. This isn't pretend. This is real life. This isn't a dress rehearsal. So go and be you and do your thing.
Yes. And there's something else. I even will find myself like when I'm I'm a human too. I have human feelings. I have the same fears that everybody else does. And there are days where I'll say I find myself and it comes out and I'll say I'm trying and I'm like, nope, gonna take that out. I'm in the process of figuring out how to. I'm working on, not I'm trying to blank. Except when it comes to, what the heck was I doing yesterday? I don't know, some techie thing. And I was trying. I was straight up trying to figure that one out. Oh, I think it was like something about the IP address or whatever. Yeah. Because yeah, websites and everybody thinks you have, we talked about this in the workshop, I think last week, about having a website and you're like, oh my God, I had 52 people go to my website this month. And I'm like, you gotta make sure that 48 of those aren't you. Right? So you gotta like make sure that your IP address is in there. Like there's always like people are like, I'm just gonna put up a website. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's not as simple as I'm just gonna put up a website. But um oh, okay. No one knows. Connie's at work. Connie's a member inside Fully Booked Business Club as well. She's still managing her day job as well as building her business. Okay, so let's see. I know I had another question and I wanted to open it up. Um, I would like to know. First, let me ask that anybody who's on here live, does anybody have a question that they would like to pose to either the group or to any one of our panel members individually? Just take a minute. You can just put it down in the chat. And it's so funny. The chat works today. The chat didn't work the other day. I spent 40 minutes trying to change the settings in the back end last week for the workshop so everybody would have access to the chat. No. All right, let's see. All right, Connie wants to know, has anyone gone to senior centers and put flyers or given a talk? And I mean, I have my own, and Connie, you're inside, fully booked. So number one, I would refer you, if you have not watched it or haven't watched it in a while, go back to the senior concierge module. So I think it might be called module 8. I think that's our senior concierge one. I think 7 is pricing. I think 8 is senior. And I talk about specifically speaking and how to quote unquote get into assisted living communities and so forth. And what I will say, my experience is even with those, making you're not cold calling to get in there because those places are usually the person that's answering the phones or the desks person, they're too effing busy. Just like people who want to get into doctors' offices, you can't because the doctor doesn't have time to field all this nonsense. You have to, it's like making connections with people who are already on the inside, build relationships with them, and then it naturally happens. Like Katie, who you've probably all seen the video that we did with Katie. She was in Fully Booked. Last year, she was in Fully Booked. She made over 40K her last year. She enrolled in 100K Club. She's been part of 100K Club this year, and she's on track for 100K this year. Now she has been invited now in to do a presentation in an assisted living community, but it wasn't because she was going in to get it. It was because somebody from inside invited her in. So that's I'll just share that. And any of our panel members want to share anything?
Yeah, I was going to say, first of all, when it comes to seniors, especially, I don't think a flyer is effective. You need to build the relationship. Especially with seniors, I mean, you have that know, like, and trust, but especially with seniors, you have to have that trust factor. So we have a senior center here in where I live. And they do bingo and various different things. And I've gone there and volunteered. So the people there know me, and I've gotten clients because of my connection with the people that work there, because someone has asked about specific services and they have referred me because they know me. And I built a relationship with the people on the inside. If I were to go in there and just, first of all, they're very protective of their
Yeah.
people. They don't just let anybody in there.
Right.
But just kind of like what I did with the cards, if you just go up to somebody and hand them something, it's probably not going to work. So, like Kelly said, you need to get that on the inside. And oftentimes, even with facilities, you can go and volunteer, bingo or, whatever, one day a week, so that the people that are there know you, and they're okay with giving you access to their seniors, because most of us who work with seniors are very protective of them.
Mhm. Yeah. And one other thing I will say, and I don't know if everybody else has had this experience, but um, when you are, like you said, they're very protective of who they let into the facilities in general, making sure that you have insurance. Because I have literally been asked for my insurance policy when I have gone in and done any types of presentations in senior communities, even in businesses. When I've done, we do wrapping events for businesses, and they too have asked for, insurance, um, making sure you have that planned out. Does anybody else have anything they want to add to that? Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the next question. Okay. All right. Angela asked, Karen mentioned insurance for medical portal assistance. Can she expound, she said.
Yeah, so I started out with a general liability insurance policy, but I have also, and this is also another thing in fully booked business, talking about insurance and errors and omissions insurance.
Yep.
So I have actually contacted the insurance person who was in a did a presentation with you, Kelly, and so I'm working to get errors and omissions. It's just coverage, and then interestingly enough, we talked about this last week. I have a bond. It's $125 for a year. I don't really need a bond, but it's a marketing ploy, and it's a relatively inexpensive marketing ploy so that I can put on my business cards, I am licensed, bonded, and insured. And so for my for the age group that I work with, I think that resonates with them. And it's just it's an inexpensive way to sort of, again, build credibility, build trust. And what's interesting about working with seniors is they are the most trusting group. It's why they are targeted for fraud so often, and yet they want a relationship. So it's a really interesting dynamic. They trust very quickly, and yet they also want to know who you are, and they want to feel comfortable with you. So errors and omissions, or otherwise known as E&O insurance, is what I'm that's another piece of my insurance coverage.
Yeah, and I've done a bajillion videos out on YouTube about that and have brought
That's
that
what I
up.
thought. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not just inside.
especially I did a video a few, excuse me, a few weeks ago when I talked about offering bill paying services, and I talked specifically about E&O insurance. And then Angela, you are a new member inside Fully Booked. So if you go inside the program, there you have access to the insurance lunch and learn. There are two of them that are inside there. I had speakers, outside speakers, come in to talk to our groups about insurance, because there are a variety of things, right? Which is why I teach my recommendation is to narrow down your services first before you start looking for insurance. Because if you start looking for insurance, I'm going to do all the things, I'm going to drive the people, and I'm going to write out the bills, and I'm going to work with the tech, and I'm going to go in nursing homes, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. The insurance, they don't know how to insure you, and they're going to say, we don't have a policy for you. So if you narrow it down, you can always like improve, add more things, bring more insurances in later, but like get you started. But that's why we need to know. And again, there are a shit ton of videos that I've done about insurance and even working with seniors, whether you're driving people, because if you're driving, that's a different kind of insurance. And if you're driving their vehicle versus you're driving your vehicle versus the state that you live in, like in Pennsylvania, we can't take money for driving somebody unless you have a livery license, which is like that across a lot of states, which is considered a limousine license or a taxi license. So but don't allow all this stuff to be the barrier to getting started. Getting started is you starting to talk about what it is that you're doing. The insurance can be happening over here while you're out there over here. If you wait to get insurance, and let's say it takes you 4 months to get insurance, then that's 4 months you could have been talking about your business and building relationships. The same thing with the website. If you think the website is the primary driver, do that a little bit over here. And if you followed the audios that I've been sending out this past week, also for those that had registered for the workshop, I talk about like make that like 20% of your time max in the beginning of your business. Like be building it over here while you're doing the real marketing over here. Because there's so many reasons why with the website. You don't even know who you're working with yet. You don't even know what their problems are. I was on somebody's website this morning and the so many things like they were like, oh, I'm so, I have a website and I'm so proud of it and blah blah blah. And I clicked on it, and the first thing I went to their website, and they didn't have a secure a secure URL. It was an HTTP, not an HTTPS. And so it literally says on there, not secure. So did I think she was stealing my data? No, but these are just like the stuff that you don't know until you get in there, which is why it's so valuable to have access to ask all of these questions, which is why Fully Booked it's a year-long program, and then you have the opportunity to do lifetime access, because as you're building your business, more and more things are going to come up. Then you start getting booked, and then you're like, now I have clients and I don't have any time, and I'm running ragged. And then it's like, okay, well, let's now reposition and increase your rates and increase your minimums and limit this over here, and maybe let this like in the business world, they'd say like this line item, like the thing that's only making you, 2 grand a year versus the services that are making you 18 grand a year, let those 2 grand ones go. So then the time and money and energy you spend into promoting those 2 grand a year ones, put it into the one that's making the 18 grand. Like there's always another level of growth in your business. Okay, so let me go. Maureen wants to know, are you going to network groups or more of meeting with individuals? I have problems trying to find groups. I did this in a former job, and all of those are no longer in existence. So Maureen, yeah, you have to find the groups. And I will tell you, if you have an idea of who your target is, that will help you find some groups. There are a bajillion groups out there that you can meet with. It's knowing you have to, number one, you just got to look. Two, once you find a group, you find the people in the group and be like, where are the other groups? Three, also know that you're not just going to a group to get clients. You're going to groups to build relationships with other human beings who are hopefully it could be in a business setting. It could be in a mom setting. It depends on your target audience. And then going into that deeper inside the program, that's the first module. The first module is all about networking groups, finding your networking groups, how to track your networking groups, and then what to do afterwards, because you can go to 10, and if you don't have a follow-up strategy in place that is consistent, then most of the time the work that you're putting into it is going to not work for you, which is what I get from a lot of people. Does anybody else have a nugget that they want to say about that? Michelle, you've
I
been networking. Oh, go ahead, Cheryl.
yeah, I do because I don't go to as many networking things as I should. I did a lot in the beginning, but something that is working for me, and again, you have to be genuine to who you are and what works for you, not just go off of what this worked for so and so this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to focus on that, even though you feel like you're beating your head against the wall. What has worked for me is actually social media. um, I post a lot in our, like, we have a neighborhood, a community group for our town, and I post, they have ad days every week. And everybody posts first thing in the morning, and so that's flooded by everybody's ads. Well, I wait till later on in the day when everybody else has already posted theirs. But that's where I get the majority of my clients, is from that group. And I've started posting in other ones too. And eventually sometimes they go to my website, but primarily because I post regularly. And I have another project that I'm working on here in town. People are starting to know me because of the other things that I'm doing, so I've built this presence within my community, so when I post that ad, they know me, and that works for me. And I mention it on my personal page as well from time to time, just smoothly, not like putting it in people's faces. But like I said, you have to do what works for you. If social
Yeah.
media works for you, do that. But because of those things that I post, I now have people contacting me on a regular basis wanting to meet with me to do the individual things. So it's been a progression though. So you have to just kind of stick with it. And I still have a couple of group things that I go to, but that's what's worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and social media absolutely can work for you. I think it's a combination of what I have seen is it works for you now because now you know exactly what you're selling. Had you been trying to sell, I do
For
everything
sure.
for everybody, that is not going to work for the social media because it's not going to translate. But now that there is a very clear, this is what I do, and she can talk about it with the stories, kind of like Michelle said too. Now that she's doing stuff that she loves to do, she has stories to tell, and those stories
Mhm.
to tell are the things that translate best on social
For
media.
sure. Yeah, because I did the
Or-
same thing in the beginning when I was doing everything for everybody and got nothing. Now that it's
Exactly.
focused, and
Exactly.
the things that get more response are when I post a picture from a job
Yeah.
and have a story from the job. Those are the ones that I get, you know, as many as 100, 200 comments or likes and, messages and all of that stuff. And that just keeps it, people know who I am because of
Right.
that. And they know that's what I do. Because before I was getting calls about every, all kinds of different things. And I'm like, yeah, that's not what I do, but I'll do it.
Mhm.
If that's
Yes.
what you want me to do, I'll do it. But now they know what I do, and that's what I get calls about.
Yes. And the difference in that is, so I belong to, I'm part of a bunch of different Facebook groups for different things, but I'm in one group for our community where our beach house is. And somebody goes on there. This is how most people approach social media. She goes on there the same day every single week. I forget what day it is. Let's just say it's Thursdays, and because she can probably post and promote her services once a week, and every single Thursday her post is basically the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a picture of her business cards, and she says something like booking massages now, only have 3 spots, or going away next week. It's very like FOMO driven, but that's literally it. That's all it
Mhm.
is. And then in the comments section, she'll put a link right there in the comments section to book her. And every time I see it, I'm like, oh girl, can I just tell you how to do this in a way that like would totally, like, you would be booked in like a minute if you just let me,
Hmm.
right? And then I see the same thing in other groups too, where it's like the day of the week that they're allowed, they're just selling versus serving. When you
Right.
serve first, the selling becomes natural. And for those of you who are in fully booked, because I know we have some of our members here that are on line with us also, there is a module inside the program that's about social media. I don't poo-poo social media. I'm not saying that social media can't be used. What I am saying though is there is a right and a wrong way to
Agreed.
use it if you want it to be effective. And it does start with any marketing that we do, it has to start with understanding what it is that you do versus being all things to all people.
Right. And I
It
agree
does
that
not
you
go
shouldn't start
clear.
out with social media because if nobody knows who you are and you don't even
Correct.
know what you're doing, if you start out with social media, you're just throwing spaghetti at the ball.
Yeah.
But that has been an evolution for me to get
Yes.
to that point. Um,
And I'm always telling people who are in the program who are like, I want to add social media. I'm like, just follow Cheryl, see what she does, do what she's doing. Following the recipe, she's doing it the way that it works, right? And again, you made a good point too. A lot of times, because it is, right? It's like we'll do social media because social media doesn't require a lot of visibility. We hide. We're like, here
mhm.
I am, poof, poof, right? Where we're not having to interact with people. So it's actually you're hiding from having your business seen. And when you are, that's your primary focus. Because I've had so many people who have emailed me over the years who've been like on my list or whatever. And let's say I'm doing enrollment and they'll respond back to me, oh, I closed my business down last year. And I will often say, oh, what happened? And some people are like, oh, I decided to go back and get like I just decided I found a new job and I absolutely love my job. And then other people are like, I couldn't get clients. I was networking and it wasn't working. I was posting on all the social media platforms and never got a single client. And I'm like, because
So
that's
is everybody else.
that's what you're doing. Yes. So
Yeah.
one, so is everybody else. And two, like you started to say, like if you were trying to front load your marketing, we'll call it a marketing funnel, so to speak. If you're
Mm.
trying to front load with just social media and you're a local business, but you don't have anybody local who's watching you don't have anybody who's watching the social media.
Mhm.
So like it's great
Yeah,
if you have 500 friends that are all over the globe,
right. Right. And you still have to go out and, like you say, meet the people
meet the
because,
people.
when I first got somebody to respond to one of my social media things or went to my website, I guess it was, and filled out that thing, I was like, okay, now what I do? How do I talk to these people? How do I, now what? Because I was so terrified of the actual, I think we've talked about this before where we had a one-on-one session and that you saw that transformation in me that I was like, I am a business person. This is my business.
Mhm.
And having that change in the mindset of them coming to me and being terrified to talk to them because I was letting them be in control of what I was doing and what I stood for and my services and all of that. And you have to go into it knowing one, who you are, what you stand for, but what your services are, and just be confident in that and know this is your business.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and if you use social media to throw spaghetti against the wall, what you're doing is you're sort of airing your spaghetti on the wall to the world, which is not, that's not what you want to be doing.
Mhm.
So, and it's not really to the world if you don't have a whole lot of views, but the point is that you're throwing it out there and everybody's like, oh, she's all over the map. Next.
Yeah,
Yes. We
yeah,
talk
yes, that is for sure. If they don't know what you stand or what your
what you
business
stand for.
is,
Yeah.
what you stand for, what services you actually do, they're like, I have no idea exactly what she's doing because I know when initially you talked about that person putting their business card. That's what I did initially. I was like, put my business card, senior concierge, and I never didn't mention this before. On the back of my business card, I think I had 20 services listed on the back of my card because I thought the more that I had on there, the more likely I'm going to get
Mhm.
clients. But that is not the way it worked at all. I'm telling you, I have more clients now
That you're niche down.
because I know what I'm doing and I can say no for the other things. And there's a freedom in that, I think, in knowing exactly what it is you do what you want to do, what you love to do. I'm a
Yes.
weirdo and I love the downsizing, decluttering. The bigger the mess, the better, because I love that the completion of it and just going in there. And my seniors are so stressed that they need somebody to help. I just finished up a packing job and she was so stressed. There was everybody to do everything else, but no one to just help her pack. And she was like, I just needed someone to help me make these decisions. And those are the things that, as a mom, I think, as a stay-at-home mom and as a mom in general, you make the decisions all the time. And so, and
Mhm.
I think, we talked about before too. I think once you know what you're doing, you shouldn't have to prepare to talk about it because you should know it. You shouldn't have to think about it, chat GPT or whatever, because you live it and you should be able to talk about it with no problem.
Yes. So well said. All right, so we have just a few minutes left. I wanted to ask, looking to the next like 12 months, we'll just say, what are you looking forward to? And I'm going to limit it down to like 2 minutes per person. So, what are you looking forward to in your business journey, whatever that you want to share? Um, yeah, over the next like 12 months. And you got 2 minutes to do it. Who's going first?
Go, Michelle.
I feel put on the spot. Um, uh, I guess really I'm looking forward to like growing a little bit more. I'm looking forward to leveling up. I feel so much more focused and secure in what I'm doing. I had some hangups this year that really stalled me and stopped me from growing in the way that I wanted to. Um, Personally, like the guilt of leaving my son at home. Kelly and I have talked about that over and over again, and that has been a humongous hurdle for me. But some things have happened lately that has helped me get through that. So I'm taking that into the next year and really running with it. So I'm really super excited. And the fact that he'll be done with school this year is actually helping me a lot as well. So I won't have to be home with him, as much as I think I need to be home with him. Let's be clear, because he rolls his eyes at me and tells me to go away. So once I've got over that hurdle, it has really made things a lot more clearer, and I'm taking that into the next year.
And that's really important for everybody else to hear too, because there are a lot of people and, you know, that have guilt, right? Especially if you have like stayed home and then you're
Mm-hmm.
now have a business, because there's a difference between when you've stayed at home or even if you didn't stay at home and you've had a job outside the home and then you have a business that you're running from your home. There's this layer of like guilt and feeling like you have to be on all the time for your family. So, I'm available, right? Like my kids used to be like, "Well, you're here." And I'd be like, "I am working." But they didn't understand it. Now they weren't four, right? They were, older. But I started telling them, I'd say, listen, if I was at the hospital right now, you would not be able to come in here and tell me you need a stapler. Okay? So I'm just going to start working outside the house. So I'd start going to the coffee shop because then they
Mm-hmm.
couldn't bother my ass while I was at work,
Or
right?
the husband, the husband,
Or the
the
husband
husband.
who's like, oh, no, I'm working. Oh, I saw you just sitting there. Do you have any idea what I do? No, I don't actually. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. All right, Cheryl, how about you? What are you looking forward to in the next year in 2 minutes?
I'll just make it really fast. I changing over to packages.
Mhm. Yeah.
I recently raised my prices. I was charging the same for downsizing as I did for companionships, and I was like, "What in the heck am I doing?" Because I was working my butt off.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm going to do is change over probably at the first of the year, change over to packages.
Yeah. You could change over to packages effective October 1st.
That's really soon.
Yeah, so it doesn't mean you have to change it
Maybe.
on the people you already got. It's like that phone rings today, be like, yes, I sell packages.
Yeah.
You've been in this long enough. Don't delay this crap, girl. All right. How about you, Karen?
Um, I'm having a really good time right now, and it's I think enough time has passed since my dad passed away. My mom and I live with my mom, so I don't have kids, so that guilt feeling is not really guilt, but it is sort of I want to be available for her. And we've moved twice since my dad passed away. We're settled. Like we just had a big family trip. So now kind of the pathway is clear. And Kelly and I talked about this. So I have sort of grandfathered some people in at a certain rate. And then when the phone rings now, I tell them, I've raised my rates. They don't know I've raised my rates. I'm just raising them with the new people. So, yeah, and it's expanding my footprint. Um, One of the things that I highly recommend, I went to a couple of like vendor expos, even like home shows and things, and other people really want to give you their cards. Great, because what I ended up doing was I found people who are real estate agents who do downsizing, who do decluttering, which I don't want to do anymore. I did that a couple of times and I realized that wasn't my, but what I still serve because I have these contacts. And when people call me and say, well, do you still do this? I need this. Like, no, I don't, but I know somebody who does and they do a great job. And so you're still in the service industry. You're still paying it forward. You're still helping other small businesses, but you're getting stuff off of your plate. So and Kelly, I don't know if I can do this, but somebody asked, what sort of things do you look for in an accountant? I don't have an accountant, but I got into a sort of business networking group. And this woman was like so generous with her time. And she's like, you should try Wave. Wave is an accounting software. I did not buy the monthly fee, but it does everything I need to for the free version. I can take credit cards. It gives me invoices, like all of these things. I'm just going to put it in so I don't mean to pitch another business here, but
Yeah.
Wave software is the accounting.
I will tell you that I have left. I started with QuickBooks was the first one I used. I left QuickBooks and I went to a variety of the newer app versions. I always end up coming back to QuickBooks for a variety of reasons. So my recommendation is usually QuickBooks. People do use Wave. They do use, some people use I back in the day, the very first I still have Square. Square,
Oh yeah, yeah.
right? That was the first like swipey thing that you could hook to your phone back then. Back then I had a thing that you plug it in here and I could swipe their credit card right there for accepting credit cards. I have just always I have again, I've been in the industry for a while, so I am also somebody who doesn't like to bring in new stuff if the shit that I'm using is already working. But
Exactly.
that is one that has been recommended by other people. Everybody in 100K Club though, we all use QuickBooks for accounting, just for a variety of reasons. You can do payroll and stuff out of there too as your team grows but
Yeah,
yeah,
you have a bigger business than I do at the
yeah,
moment, but I do think, and this speaks to the people who hand you folders of stuff.
yep.
I have tried a number of self-employment businesses that have utterly failed. So I think one of the things that I learned is, and I think some people still think this, that if you are spending the money, that is how you are going to get clients. I'm telling you, and Kelly will tell you, you do not have to spend a lot of money. You have to spend some. You can't start some of this stuff on shoestring, but be selective about where you spend your money, and start small and grow. You can always add stuff. But once you've spent it and then you hand somebody this pile of paperwork that you've spent, if it's $10 a folder of stuff and it's going to go in the recycle bin, like that's not helpful. So, I suggest I wouldn't necessarily hire an accountant right away. There are other things like
Yeah,
QuickBooks. So I think,
you can run your taxes
yes.
on your personal taxes
Yeah.
as an
So
extension
there are just
seat.
a lot of things that I
Yeah.
think people spend a lot of money on up front that don't have a whole lot of return on investment. And then you run yourself out of business before you even get started
Mhm.
because you just invested in the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
This fully booked business is worth investing in because it teaches you how to grow this. And when you get big, you can implement these other things. You don't need them necessarily right away.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Karen. So tell us again, why should somebody join Fully Booked Business Club?
Because it's so worth the investment. It teaches you what you need to know and keeps you on track and keeps you focused and sort of parses away the riffraff and gets you. And Kelly says this all the time, like, pare down your services. You can always add them later if you grow. But when you start small, then you can actually grow. It's not starting big because the shotgun approach rarely ever works. Pare down, get what aligns with you, and then you can enhance and grow. And that's what fully booked business helps you do. I'll shut up now.
Thank you. All right, Cheryl, if somebody's on the fence about joining us, what would you tell them?
The main thing I find is that the people within the group are they get it, because when you try to talk to somebody else about what we do, it's a whole different world what we do. The concierge business is completely different than other types of business. And I've had other business people try to give me advice, especially in the beginning, and I'm like, no, that's not going to work. That doesn't work for this particular industry. Oh no, it works for every industry. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I've told you the story about the whole Nike thing. The coach that I worked with that
Oh,
said
yeah.
it was all business is the same. That Nike is the same as anyway. No, I'll cut it short because I know we're out of time.
So, in a nutshell, Cheryl had a business coach that told her to do marketing one way and it didn't resonate with her. And she said, and they told her that that's how it works for all businesses and it just didn't resonate with you. But then the way I taught marketing, more person to person,
Right,
relationship driven, human
right.
interaction felt more in alignment with Cheryl. She felt like that feels right to me, which is why she ended up enrolling. And I will say real quick, and then we're going to wrap up with Michelle. I had somebody who came to me years ago. She does very well now. She actually has multiple locations. This was, oh gosh, probably 2018 maybe. She came to me. She had hired a business coach that was like 10 grand for the year. She was a well-known business coach who I don't even think is coaching anymore actually. But back then at that time, she was a very well-known business coach and she joined her program and it had to do with pricing and the coach told her to, which I was told to by another coach who was actually the coach that trained the coach that she hired about blurring the lines when it comes to your pricing, right? So, for example, selling it's a $300 package and you get 4 requests a month kind of thing, right? And so she tried doing that and she gave a huge presentation and that was in a room full of her ideal clients and they all just left and nobody ever called her and she was devastated and she had been trying this approach to pricing for months because that's what this one particular coach had told her to do. And she hired me for like we did a one-to-one and she enrolled in what's now 100K Club. It was something different back then. But I helped her with her pricing and I was like, because your clients can't understand that, not in this industry. Like in coaching, right? For example, you join Fully Booked Business Club for 1 year, it's $2,500. It's going to take you 18 days. It'll take me 18 days to figure out how much like I'm making from it, right? Like because there's the modules, there's Q&A calls every week, there's workshops every month, there's bonus workshops that are in there. There's a live event that's happening in October. We have all the resources that you could possibly think of, like all these things, right? So you don't like know what is Kelly making per hour, right? Whereas when it comes to this type of business, people want to know what does that mean in an hour? And so she was trying to like create these fancy, and I did it too. I created these fancy packages that just went whoo right over people's heads because they just couldn't grasp it. They're like they couldn't understand it. So as far as I wanted to say that because there are a lot of nuances in this industry that other people, coaches, and other people out there don't quite exactly understand. Um, so, Michelle, if somebody wanted to join Fully Booked, why should they join? Why should they stop hesitating and go enroll right now?
Okay, well, there's so many reasons. It shows you the processes you need. It shows you how to network, contracts, niching down, finding your right fit client, getting rid of what I call the you should people, all the people you guys have been talking about. I'm like, there's a you should people. You should do this and you should do that. Because once they start talking to you, you'll have it in your mind. Okay, I don't need to do what these people tell me to do. I'm going to do my training and Fully Booked, and that will get rid of a lot of the you should people. Um, a lot of support. There's other people that have the same struggles that you guys are going through. There's tears and laughter and everything in between. So it definitely is something that I can't even measure the value that it has brought me, and it's more than just dollar signs.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I love that term, the you should people. Yeah. Oh God, how many times I've been to a networking event and I start talking about like I do blah blah blah. And they're like, you know what you should do? You should blah blah blah. And I go, yeah, maybe I should probably do that. And then I divert and I'd start doing this over here. And then I'd be like, and I'd come back here again. I meet another, you should. And I'd be like, okay. Right. There has to be, yeah, has to be alignment too. So, all right, friends, thank you so, so much. Let me see. We have here Monica said, great convo. Thank you for sharing your insight, comments, and the failures. Look, y'all, you know why I love being part of mastermind groups sometimes? Because I like to know other people are sucking and failing too.
Yes.
I'm like, well, if they're sucking and failing, then it's not wrong that I'm sucking and failing. Because it's like we can learn so much. We learn so much from people's wins, and then we also feel so less alone when we know other people are having the same struggles that we're working through ourselves. So hopefully this was a great call for you all, and I want to thank my panel here, Cheryl, Michelle, Karen. Thank you so, so much for graciously showing up and giving your time today. And I will see you all on our next call. All right.
Thanks, Kelly. Thanks, everybody.